Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the Jordan Report, and I am your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, we're going to do another report on Nancy and how rich and wealthy Nancy and her husband is. I've done several videos, I believe it's 3, on Nancy Pelosi's family's wealth. The one that did the best was called The 4 Families That Control California. You probably want to see that one. But I did also one on how much her and her husband are personally, the two are personally wealth, like 120, 130 million dollars that we know of. Some people say it could be up to 200 million. But anyway, here's another one of these funny stock deals, how they get rich. I'm going to show you an old 60-minute clip of Nancy Pelosi doing this 20 or 30 years ago. They've been doing this a long time. And so here it is. This was February the 12th. Nancy Pelosi's husband scooped up Amazon Facebook stock. This is how they get rich, man. They have all this inside information, so they can just sit there. They know when things are going up and down, and this is how they do it. And this is how they get these millions and billions of dollars. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi recently disclosed that her husband, Paul, has acquired more Amazon and Facebook stock. Paul Pelosi, a businessman investor, used options to acquire Amazon stock and sold Amazon options. He also used options to acquire Facebook stock. The disclosure made in a form Speaker Pelosi filed on February 11th. Paul Pelosi used call options. Listen to this. You guys got to remember these names. Call options to acquire 3,000 Amazon shares on January 16th at a total of $4.8 million. On the same day, he sold 20 Amazon call options to buy shares for $1,700 and sold 20 Amazon call options to buy shares for $1,600. I don't want to go to them. There's a little bit too much complication, but you know what I'm trying to say. Call options are financial contracts that give investors the right, but not the obligation, to buy stock at predetermined prices. Speaker Pelosi's husband also used options to acquire 3,000 Facebook shares. Paul Pelosi didn't respond to requests for comment on his transactions. The Pelosi's didn't own any Amazon stock at the end of 2018. The latest annual report only stock options, and they haven't acquired any Amazon stock since. Paul Pelosi owned Facebook stock valued at between $500,000 and $1 million at the end of 2018, and this is his first acquisition of more shares on the record since. Now listen to this. This is very important because they knew all this. Amazon and Facebook stocks have gone in opposite directions since Paul Pelosi's last transactions. Through Tuesday's close, both companies have reported earnings in that time frame. Amazon stock from January 16 through February 11 has surged 14.5% on strong earnings, while Facebook stock has slipped 6.6%, hurt by lackluster report. Okay, so they know all this stuff. They know when things are coming and going and all the rest of stuff. They've been doing this a long time. Now let me show you an old report on 60 Minutes talking to Nancy Pelosi about this.
Initial public stock offerings, the opportunity to buy a new stock at insider prices just as it goes on the market. They can be incredibly lucrative and hard to get.
If you were a senator, Steve, and I gave you $10,000 cash, one or both of us is probably going to go to jail. But if I'm a corporate executive and you're a senator and I give you IPO shares in stock, and over the course of one day that stock nets you $100,000, that's completely legal.
And former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her husband had participated in at least 8 IPOs. One of those came in 2008 from Visa, just as a troublesome piece of legislation that would have hurt credit card companies began making its way through the House. Undisturbed by a potential conflict of interest, the Pelosi's purchased 5,000 shares of Visa at the initial price of $44. 2 days later, it was trading at $64. The credit card legislation never made it to the floor of the House. Congresswoman Pelosi also declined our request for an interview, but agreed to call on us if we attended her news conference.
Madam Leader, I wanted to ask you why you and your husband back in March of 2008 accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa. At a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we didn't.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
And at the time you were
investments, but I
Speaker
don't
of the
think-
House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance
No,
of a
it was
conflict
not.
of
It
interest?
doesn't. It only has appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir.
wanted to
That I
ask
would act upon an investment. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Pelosi pointed out that the tough credit card legislation eventually passed, but it was 2 years later and was initiated in the Senate.
I
way
will
through
hold
the-
my record in terms of fighting the credit card companies as a Speaker of the House or as a member of Congress up against anyone's.
Corporate executives, members of the executive branch, and all federal judges are subject to strict conflict of interest rules, but not the people who write the laws.
If you are a member of Congress and you sit on the Defense Committee, you are free to trade defense stock as much as you want to. If you're on the Senate Banking Committee, you can trade bank stock as much as you want, and that regularly goes on in all these committees.
All right.
The access to
Okay, guys. You want to see why these people are so wealthy? This is how they get the wealth. They got all the inside information. So of course you're going to be worth $120 million in 10 years. This is what they're doing. All right, these people are just as corrupt. They're as corrupt as the day is long. I don't know how we vote for them, but